The Whispering River. In the land of Ezawini, where sunlit hills roared like sleeping lions and acacia trees stretched their arms to the sky, there flowed a river unlike any other. Its name was Umoyawazi, meaning water that talks, and for as long as memory ran, the people believed it was alive. Some said it carried messages from the ancestors. Others believed it had moods, gentle when happy, raging when insulted. But only Tuli, a 16-year-old girl with clay-stained hands and bright, listening eyes, could hear it speak. She was a potter, like her grandmother before her. Her fingers knew how to shape the earth into bowls and jars, but more than that, she had a strange gift. She felt the emotions of the clay, and sometimes, when she filled her jugs by the riverbank, the water would hum, or sigh, or whisper. It began with something small. One morning, as golden light stretched across Ezawini, Tuli bent to fill her clay jug. The river was unusually still, like a cat holding its breath. As the water touched her hands, she felt a sudden prickle along her spine. She looked down. Floating inside her jug were silver scales, tiny, delicate, and shimmering like they held starlight. Not fish scales. These were different. Almost too perfect. She dipped her hand in to scoop them out, but the water rippled away from her fingers as if pulling them back. And then, very softly, just on the edge of hearing it, she heard it. Beware the turning. The earth remembers the wound. Her heart skipped. She looked around. The banks were empty, save for a few abysses pecking the mud. She said nothing. Not yet. That night, Tuli sat beside her grandmother's old kiln, smoothing the rim of a half-finished bowl. As she traced her thumb along the wet edge, she could feel a sadness in the clay. A tightness. Something was wrong. Her best friend, Saifo, a boy with too many questions and not enough shoes, leaned over. "You've had that look all day," he said. "The one that says," the river whispered something creepy again. Tuli hesitated. "I think it's angry." Saifo laughed. "What?" "Because some goat probably peed in it again." She didn't smile. "No. This is different." A few days later, the village gathered in the great open field for a meeting called by Chief Vusumuzi. The chief was a proud man with arms like tree trunks and a voice like a distant drum. Beside him stood his advisors, each with furrowed brows and scrolls in hand. "We will build a canal," the chief declared. "The river bends too far. Too slow. We will make a shortcut. Bring water faster to the fields. More crops. More life." The crowd murmured with excitement. Some clapped. Others looked unsure. Only Gogo Nomzamo, the village archivist and keeper of oral history, rose slowly to her feet. She was older than any of them could guess, bones wrapped in wrinkles, eyes like deep wells. Her hair was a white halo around her head, and she walked with a cane carved from river driftwood. "Chief Vusumuzi," she said in a dry but steady voice. "Have you forgotten the pact?" The crowd hushed. "Long ago," she continued, "our ancestors made a promise to the serpent spirit Sangoma, guardian of Umoyawazi. In return for water and life, we vowed never to alter the river's path. It flows where the spirit flows. To scar it is to invite hunger." Chief Vusumuzi frowned. "Old stories do not plow fields. This is a new time." Gogo Nomzamo's eyes did not blink. "Then it will be a new curse." Despite the warning, construction began the next moon. Men dug with shovels and spades, singing work songs to ignore the strained silence from the river. The birds that once chirped nearby were gone. Even the frogs had vanished. Tuli stood at the bank, watching them cut into the land. The river's whisper had grown louder now. Sometimes it sounded like wind through reeds. Sometimes like weeping. And sometimes, like something moving just below the surface. One morning, she tried to speak to her mother, but was met with a tired shake of the head. Your imagination is sweet, Tuli, but don't stir fear where there is none. Let the men do their work. Even Saifo didn't believe her anymore. Maybe it's just a weird fish, he said, chewing a mango and wiping juice on his shirt. Rivers have weird fish all the time. But the river was not just acting weird. It was changing. The water turned colder than usual. And some days, it wouldn't flow at all, standing still like glass. Plants along the edge started wilting. Children who fetched water returned with nosebleeds or sudden fevers. Dogs barked at the river for no reason and refused to drink. And then came the first sign the elders could not ignore. A pregnant cow, the strongest of the village herd, collapsed beside the canal. No wound. No illness. Just fell. Her eyes wide and glazed. Chief Vusumuzi ordered a feast from her meat. But the meat spoiled overnight, crawling with flies before the sun had even risen. And still, he would not stop the canal. On the 7th day after the digging began, the skies turned a grayish-yellow, and the wind carried the smell of dust. Tuli returned from the river with a dry jug. She tried again. Nothing. That evening, the village well gave only mud. By dawn, Ezawini was in drought. No one laughed. No drums played. Fires flickered without heat. The crops caught in their stalks like dying hands. The canal. It stood unfinished. Dry as bone. Silent as guilt. That night, Tuli walked alone to the river. The moon hung low, like a watching eye. She knelt at the edge and whispered, "I don't know what you want, but I'm listening." The river, still and dark, rippled once. And from its depth, a voice, not loud, not angry, but ancient, rose like a memory from the bones of the earth. "They have broken the skin. Now the blood remembers. Zangoma does not sleep forever." She gasped and fell back. Her hands trembled. Behind her, someone stepped from the trees. It was Gogo Nomzemo. "You heard him, didn't you?" the old woman said softly. Tuli nodded. Gogo looked to the river. "He has stirred before. Each time, the land paid. But this time, I fear he will not just whisper." Dust and silence. The first rainless month felt like a single long sigh. Green fields dulled to the color of old rope, cassava leaves curled like dry tongues. Cattle, once fat enough to cast white shadows, now stood with ribs showing. When they breathed, dust puffed out of their nostrils instead of steam. Children tiptoed across the cracked village square as if afraid the earth would break under them. Pots on cooking fire stayed empty longer each day, smoke rose, but there was nothing inside but weeds and hope. Tuli tried to walk her clay, yet every thumb press left new fractures. The clay had become stubborn, thirsty, just like the river. At dusk on the 30th night without rain, the wind died altogether. No birds. No frogs. Only the raspy wheeze of grasshoppers too tired to leap. Then the river spoke in a language of steam. Two serpents in the mist. While most villagers huddled indoors, Tuli and her friend Saifo crept to Umwewazi. The river, once glittering, now looked black as bent iron. But at its center bubbles rose, growing larger, faster, until Isis. A spiral of white vapor burst upward, twisting like a length of ghostly rope. It coiled into the clear night sky, widening, stretching, until the shape of an enormous head looked down on them, a serpent, half made of water, half of smoke. Its eyes glowed pale green. Its jaw opened, but instead of teeth the villagers saw stars through the vapor, as if the throat was a window to the night itself. Saifo scrambled back. "Spirit, save us." Tuli could not move. Her ears rang, not from sound but from meaning. She heard one word, return. It echoed in her mind the way a drumbeat rolls across hills. Then the vision collapsed, steam blown away by a sudden breeze. River and bank returned to awful stillness, leaving only a wet smell of minerals and fear. 3. The hunter's defiance. The next morning, Vuyo, renowned hunter, tallest man in Ezewini, shouted at the people gathered near the drying well. Enough trembling over mistricks. A river is water, not a god. Tonight I will throw my lines where the fish run deep and I will pull one out to fry for you. Then you will laugh at shadows. Some cheered, thankful for boldness. Some shook their heads, remembering the pact. Tuli watched Vuyo with uneasy admiration. He reminded her of a lion pawing an unseen snake. That night, as the horizon reddened, Vuyo walked to the riverbank with a bundle of reeds, 2 sharpened spears, and a gourd of millet beer. He whistled a hunting tune, the same one he sang when tracking bushbuck. Moonlight slid across the river. No fish broke the surface. Still, he cast his line. Hours passed. Owl cries faded. The only sound became the click of rope between his rough fingers. Then, tug, the line snapped tight. "Ha!" he roared. "I told you, little river." He braced with both feet, hauled hard. Splash! Something huge surged out of the water, no shape, just a black wall. Vuyo stumbled back, spears up. A wave slammed him, knocking one spear free. He lunged with the other, shouting, "Show yourself." No answer but bubbling silence. At dawn, searchers found only his broken spear tips on the mud. The reeds were twisted into a knot thick as a man's wrist, scales indented each stalk as if crushed by something armored. Vuyo never returned. For Tuli's dream. That same night, fear heavy in her chest, Tuli curled on her reed mat. Sleep took her like a sudden plunge. She stood in darkness lit by green fireflies. Ahead rose a throne of water, spinning without spilling. Seated upon it was Zangoma, the serpent spirit, scales of moonsilver, crown of bone shards still flecked with earth. His eyes were galaxies. When he spoke, the ground inside Tuli's mind shook. The crown is missing its memories. The flute has lost its breath. The comb has stolen my river song. Return them, child who listens. Or dust will eat your bones. The bone crown gleamed in his clawed hand, a circle of ivory and broken tusks, tipped with 3 sharp fangs. As Tuli reached toward it, the dream shattered like clay dropped on stone. She woke gasping. Her palms were bleeding, she had clenched them so tightly her nails cut skin. 5 Gogo Nomzemo's oracle. By midday, the village council met beneath the baobab. Chief Vusumuzi's once proud shoulders slumped. He had lost weight, and the rings under his eyes looked like bruises. Gogo Nomzemo hobbled forward carrying a worn goatskin pouch. "In this bag," she said, "lie answers older than my wrinkles." She poured the contents onto a woven mat, carved bones, seeds, river pebbles stained blue, and a strip of snakeskin. Chanting low, she threw them into the dust. They landed in a perfect spiral, points touching. Saifo whispered, like the steam above the water. Nomzemo traced a finger along the pattern. The serpent asks for 3 treasures once stolen by men of Ezewini, a bone crown, a sapphire reed flute, and a crocodile tooth comb. They belong in a sanctuary deep beneath Umuawazi. Without them, the river's heart remains wounded. She pointed to 3 stones lying apart from the spiral. Until they are returned, drought will grow teeth. Chief Vusumuzi lifted his chin weakly. "And if we refuse?" Nomzemo let the snakeskin flutter from her fingers. The wind caught it, it cracked like lightning then turned to dust before it hit the ground. She said only, "That." 6 The quest born of desperation. Silence. Even the wind held its breath. Tuli stepped forward, voice steady though her knees shook. "I heard the river. I saw the crown in my dream. If it wants these artifacts, I will find them." A chorus of whispers, a potter. A child. Beside her rose Nondi, Vuyo's younger sister, muscles lean from spear practice, eyes red from grief. My brother vanished, proving his courage. I will prove mine by bringing him justice. Tuli will not go alone. Gogo Nomzamo struck her cane against the baobab trunk. I shall guide them. The road is tangled with old magic, young feet need elder wisdom. Chief Vusumuzi pressed a hand over his tired heart. 3 fragile lives for the safety of many, who am I to refuse? He sighed. But if you fail, know our village may not last another moon. He unhooked a silver tuck from his neck, a relic older than his chieftain line, and closed it around Tuli's wrist. For safe passage through fear. Then he placed Vuyo's remaining spear in Nondi's hands. For strength. Finally, he bowed to Gogo Nomzamo. For hope, mother of memories. 7 Setting forth. A faint cheer tried to rise as villagers gathered supplies, dried berries, maize meal, cured goat, a flask of honey made for warmth. Saifo slipped Tuli a small clay whistle shaped like a dove. When doubt claws you, he said, blow this. Even if no one answers, you remember home still sings. At sunrise, the 3 stood on the dusty track that led toward the Isikova forest, a place older than Ezewini's first hut. Clouds of brown rolled behind them, bare feet stirring the thirsty soil. Gogo Nomzamo raised her cane. Before we take one step, vow this, we carry no greed, no anger, only the will to mend what was broken. Tuli and Nondi touched palms above the chief's talk and whispered the vow. The old woman nodded. Then let the road test us. As they turned away, a gust lifted loose dust into the air, curling it around their ankles in tiny whirlwinds, as though the serpent under the river watched their departure and tasted their resolve. Into the singing green. Isikova forest rose before them like a dark ocean of leaves. Every trunk was hollowed by age, and when the wind squeezed through those wooden tunnels the whole forest sang, not sweet like flutes but low and lonely, the voice of bottles left on a windowsill. Tuli, Nondi, and Gogo Nomzamo stood at the tree line, packs light but hearts swollen with dread. The singing drifted over them, 1,000 notes sliding in and out of tune. Remember, the old woman said, tapping her cane, music guides spirits. If the trees sing, something listens. Nondi grinned, rolling her shoulders under Vuyo's spear strap. Let it listen. I brought louder lungs. They stepped inside. At once the air cooled, green light dripped between high branches the way water drips from a thatched roof. The forest song rose whenever they brushed a trunk, as if greeting them, or warning. After an hour they noticed the path vanished behind them. Roots knotted into fresh walls where open ground had been. Tuli swallowed. It's like the forest is folding. Gogo only nodded, yes, that was the right word. True trial of the echo beast. Near midday the singing stopped. Silence closed in so tight even breathing felt rude. Mist crept from nowhere, curling around ankles, rising to knees. Then the mist ran. It shaped itself into graceful shadows, antelope bodies, sharp horns, legs that ended in nothing but swirling fog. 10, 20, a full herd, trotting soundlessly between the trees and boxing the travelers in a circle. Eyes glowing pearl-white fixed on the humans. When Tuli's heartbeat thumped, the beast copied the rhythm, stamping fog hooves in perfect time. Echo beast, phantoms who mirrored fear until it swallowed courage whole. Nondi lifted her spear. Can't stop smoke. Nor can we outrun it, Gogo murmured. The circle tightened. Mist horns lowered. Tuli felt the creatures drinking her panic, growing larger with every frightened breath. They feed on sound, she whispered. Our hearts, our gasps. Nondi's eyes flashed. Then give them a feast they cannot swallow. She planted her feet, threw back her head, and roared Vuyo's old war song, wild, booming notes meant to scare lions from a kill. H-E-Y-H. H-E-Y-H. Blood of the plains, fire of the sky. We stand, we strike, we live. The echo beast jolted, confused. Wind rushed into Nondi's song, doubling it, then tripling, until the forest itself bellowed with her voice. The mist creatures, stuffed with a courage too fierce to digest, quivered, thinned, popped like soap bubbles. Fog shredded into harmless wisps and drifted away. Silence returned, gentler this time. Tuli laughed from relief, and the hollow trunks answered with a quick grateful chord. 3. The blind hermit's gift. Farther on they smelled smoke, not wood smoke but sweet grass, the scent of old songs. A small hut rested in a clearing of singing trees that bent low, as if eavesdropping. An old man sat cross-legged outside, face turned to the sun he could not see. His empty eye sockets were covered with smooth river shells. Around his neck hung a necklace of broken silver scales. Nkulu Sizwe, Gogo breathed. I thought he walked beyond this world long ago. The hermit smiled. Voices I do not know, yet footsteps the forest trust. He reached for a crooked staff and stood. Speak your need. Tuli told him everything, the drought, the quest, the 3 lost treasures. When she mentioned Zangoma's bone crown, Nkulu's smile slipped. The serpent took my sight, he said softly. I stole glow pearls from his water once. My greed blinded me, but opened my ears. Now I hear the truth behind lies, the secret behind silence. From inside his hut he fetched a round drinking gourd, smooth, pale, split with a single seam. He passed it to Tuli. The calabash felt cool as moonlight. When she tilted it, faint silver light shimmered on its rim. The moonlit calabash, he said. It glows brighter when near holy things. Use it to find what eyes may miss. Nondi bowed. How can we repay? Nkulu pointed to his empty shells. Return the river's song, let children see fish dance again. That is payment. He touched Tuli's wrist lightly. Small hands mend cracks wider than mountains. Remember. Then the hermit sat again, head tilted toward birds that only he could hear. For shrine of the river spirits. The calabash guided them at dusk. It paused faintly first, then stronger, leading to a tumble of stones half buried in moss, what remained of a shrine older than Ezewini's oldest tale. Water seeped from the ground though no stream ran nearby, filling a pool clear as glass. Carved pillars leaned inward, etched with serpent scales and crescent moons. At the center, stuck in a block of quartz like a thorn in bone, was the crocodile tooth comb, ivory teeth, each tooth a real jaw spike from river beast centuries dead. Green opals winked along its spine. But the water around it churned. Faces rose, gentle, gray, translucent, river spirits cut from memory. Lips moved without sound, eyes wide with grief. Gogo Nomzamo bowed. We come to return what was lost. She stepped forward, spirits parted but their eyes begged caution. When Tuli drew near, the water stung like chilled smoke. She reached, light flared in the calabash, spirits whispered urgently. Not with bare hands, Gogo warned. She wrapped her cane in river grass, muttered a prayer, and nudged the comb free. Stones groaned. As the comb left the quartz, water spiraled upward, turned into tiny serpents of silver spray, then rained gently on the travelers' faces, a blessing, thin as dew but sweeter than hope. The calabash gleamed bright as milk under starlight. Artifact number 1 secured. 5 whispers of sabotage. Far away in thirsty Ezewini, 3 village elders sat beneath the cracked water tower, Counselor Kola, Merchant Dume, and Warrior Jolly. Moonlight showed new wrinkles of worry, but deeper still, the old marks of envy. If the Potter girl returns a hero, Kola hissed, the people will flock to her. The chief will praise her voice above ours. Dume flicked us from his silk sleeve. Worse, she may demand we undo the canal and with it our promised trade route. Warrior Jolly tapped his sword hilt. The forest is full of teeth. Few travelers return. Yet if she does, we must be sure her reward is thin. They plotted, send shadow scouts to twist her path, steal what she finds, claim success as their own. Thirst makes men cruel, but jealousy makes them clever. 6 Night of Doubt and Legend. Back in icy cover, camp was a circle of tired embers. Crickets harmonized with distant tree songs. Nondi cleaned Vuyo's spear, Gogo marked charms on the comb. Tuli stared at her hands, small, clay-scarred, trembling. How can I carry the hope of a village, she whispered. I couldn't even stop the canal. Gogo Nomzamo shifted closer, blankets rustling like dry leaves. I once heard a canyon complain to a river, you are so small, yet you dare carve me. The river answered, I do not carve alone. I bring the sky with me, drop by drop. She tapped Tuli's brow. You are not alone. You carry all who believe, even those not born yet. Tuli's eyes shone with reflected embers. Small hands mend giant cracks, she repeated, the hermit's words now a promise. Nondi laid a firm palm on Tuli's shoulder. We face more trials. I'll swing my spear, you swing your heart. Together we'll make the serpent sing apologies. Above them, the forest hushed its windy choir as if listening, and the stars over Ezewini blinked brighter, for courage had spoken, and courage is a tongue every god understands, the falls beneath the earth. The moonlit calabash paused with soft light as the trio entered the cavern mouth behind a crooked banyan tree. Hidden for centuries, the cave breathed cold mist from its opening, like the river itself exhaling secrets. Smells like forgotten things, Nondi muttered, gripping her spear tighter. The path sloped downward, winding past stone roots and wet moss. Soon, they heard it, a roaring crash below. The waterfall, Gogo Nomzamo said. We are close. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber bathed in blue-green glow. Water fell from a slit in the ceiling like liquid crystal, smashing into a black pool. Behind the fall, a narrow ledge curled like a snake's tongue into another passage. The calabash flickered wildly. There, Tuli said, pointing. The flute's near. With careful steps, they followed the ledge into a side chamber filled with floating mist orbs. They hovered like jellyfish, translucent and twitching. Inside them flickered shadows, figures with wild hair, hollow eyes, and open mouths. Water wraiths, Nomzamo whispered. Spirits drowned by greed. They guard what they once stole. In the center, resting on a pedestal of coral rock, lay artifact number 2, the sapphire reed flute, shimmering with carved waves and dots like teardrops. When Tuli stepped closer, the wraith screamed, not with sound, but with wind. The air turned violent, slashing like claws. Play it. Nomzamo shouted. Calm them. Tuli's fingers shook as she raised the flute. She didn't know songs of gods or warriors. She only knew one tune, her mother's lullaby. Simple. Gentle. Made of love. She played. The notes floated like feathers. One by one, the wraith slowed, swirled peacefully, and settled back into the mist, smiling for the first time in centuries. The flute's glow steadied. Artifact number 2 was claimed. 2 ambushed in the glow. They didn't make it far. Just beyond the pool, Counselor Kola stepped from behind a stone pillar. Beside him, 3 men in Ezewini tunics, eyes narrowed and hands full of rope and clubs. Take them, Kola ordered. Nondi lunged, but nets flew fast, tangling her arms. Gogo's cane was kicked away. Tuli clutched the flute and combed to her chest. You dare, Nomzamo growled. We dare survive, Kola sneered. Your quest would return power to those who don't deserve it. Better the drought than your rise, Potter girl. He snatched the flute and comb. You want hero stories? Tell them from the bottom of this cave. They turned to leave. But the cave itself betrayed them. The moonlit calabash flared blindingly. Its light struck the cavern walls, revealing phosphorescent tunnels never seen by human eyes. Kola's men, startled, stumbled back. Tuli kicked a loose rock. It rolled into a tunnel. Run! They dashed, twisting through glowing paths, slipping on wet stone. One saboteur tripped, the second screamed as a water wraith brushed his face. Kola, snarling, held tight to the artifact. 3. The ledge and the fall. The chase funneled onto a narrow ledge above a bottomless abyss. Water roared below. Stalactites gleamed like fangs. Give them back, Kola. Nandi yelled. You first, Ispat. They clashed. Spears clanged. The flute and comb, wrapped in Kola's satchel, slipped from his grip and skidded toward the edge. No. Thule dove forward. Fingers stretched, caught the satchel just as it dangled over the void. Kola lunged to snatch it, but his foot found only air. He fell. A scream echoed, then stopped. Thule gasped. But then, from above, Gogo Nomzemo's cane hooked his cloak mid-fall. She groaned, arms trembling. Hold still, you arrogant twig. Nandi helped pull. Kola collapsed onto the ledge, gasping. You saved me, he panted. Nomzemo's face was still. Because we are not you. For the crown and the serpent. In the deepest cavern of all, they found it. The wall spun slowly, not with motion, but water suspended in circles, creating a chamber of swirling flow. In the center stood a pillar made of liquid, never spilling, rising like a spout from nothing. Atop it rested the final treasure, the bone crown. Its edges shimmered with power. Fangs carved around bone. Etchings ran along its inside, shaped like ancient river paths. Thule stepped forward, flute and comb back in her arms. The calabash poured so brightly she nearly dropped it. When she touched the crown, the water pillar roared. The chamber shook. The water fell inward, and from it rose Zangoma. He was not missed this time. He was real. Gold and emerald scales. A head as wide as a hut. Eyes full of stormlight and deep time memory. When he spoke, their bones ached. You have returned what was stolen. But water remembers weight. A tribute is still owed. Thunder cracked above. Lightning danced across the walls. Blood for balance. A life, for a life stolen. Thule stepped forward. Then take mine. Gasps echoed. Nomzemo's cane toddled. No, she said. Take mine instead. Thule shook her head. Gogo, no. But the elder raised her hand. Her voice was quiet but strong. By the oldest pact, I call on the forgotten class. A soul of pure intent may batter memory for life. Take my memories, Zangoma. Let Ezewini live. The serpent paused. Time paused. Then, he bowed his head. The river accepts. Your past is the price. But your name shall echo through water forever. He opened his jaws, not to eat, but to breathe. A spiral of blue light struck Nomzemo's forehead. She swayed. Then, smiled. 5. The river awakens. When they returned to Ezewini, the drought was already breaking. The wind smelled wet. Clouds rolled thick and slow. Cattle mourned in relief. Children danced in cracked fields as the first raindrops fell. Gogo Nomzemo sat by the chief's hut, eyes calm but empty. She could no longer remember her name, her stories, or the weight of her own hands. But she hummed the lullaby Thule had played in the caverns. She still feels love, Thule whispered. Even if she doesn't remember its name. Chief Vusumuzi wept openly. We were foolish. You were brave. Nandi wrapped the bone crown in a cloth of river grass. Let it rest in the shrine. Unstolen. Unbroken. And Zangoma. He did not vanish. But the river flowed easier now, a little clearer, a little warmer. And sometimes, when the wind passed over its skin, villagers swore they could hear the serpent chuckle. Dawn at the river shrine. Night still clung to the sky when Thule and Nandi reached the old shrine. Only a faint grey ribbon on the horizon promised sunrise. Behind them walked Gogo Nomzamo, guided by Tuli's hand. She moved with calm steps, her eyes soft and wondering, as if the world was brand new and slightly surprising. They carried all three treasures in a woven reed basket. The crocodile tooth comb, its opals now bright as dawn sparks. The sapphire reed flute, quiet but pulsing with a heartbeat of music. The bone crown, wrapped in river grass so no stray greed would glance at it. Mist hugged the ground. The trees around the shrine seemed to bow, remembering ancient promises. Tuli placed the artifacts on the stone altar. "We bring back what we never should have taken," she whispered. Nondi echoed, "May the river forgive us." Nomzamo touched the crown, curious. "Pretty circle," she said, voice light as birdsong. She did not know it had once been her burden. The moonlit calabash, hanging from Tuli's belt, flared silver. A shiver ran through the ground. Then came a deep, long breath from Umoyawazi. The river's surface bulged, not in anger this time but like a chest swelling with relief. Clouds gathered overhead, slow, heavy, deliberate, like elders taking their seats before a ceremony. To a promise from the chief. By mid-morning the trio returned to Ezawini. Villagers crowded the square, eyes wide at the darkening sky. They had grown used to pale, empty heavens. Thunderheads looked as strange as herds of flying buffalo. Chief Vusumuzi stood on the meeting stone, cane of office in hand, but his voice was humble. "People of Ezawini," he began, "I broke the covenant of our ancestors and nearly broke our future. The canal will be sealed today. Never again shall we cut the river's flesh." Murmurs of relief swept the crowd. He turned to Tuli. "From this season forward, we will hold a river blessing ceremony each year at planting time. You, Tuli the listener, will lead it so our children remember the water's voice." Tuli's cheeks warmed, but she met the chief's eyes with steady gratitude. Nondi stepped beside her, spear at her back, and raised a fist. "And I, daughter of Saifo and sister of Vuyo, swear my spear to the river's god. The first hunter shall be servant to the water, not its master." The chief nodded. So witnessed. Even Councillor Kola, arm in a sling from his K4, bowed his head. Shame weighed heavier than the cloth on his shoulder. 3 rained like a drumbeat. Lightning stitched the sky just after noon. A single fat drop struck the dusty square, splack, then another, then 1,000. Rain fell as if the clouds had hoarded every tear of the drought and decided to spend them all at once. Children screamed in joy and ran barefoot through puddles that formed in seconds. Women spun in circles, skirts plastering to legs. Old men held out trembling hands to feel water on skin they thought might never be quenched again. The earth drank greedily. Cracks softened, swelled, and closed with little sighs. Seeds buried months ago woke and stretched. You could almost hear roots gulping. Inside the abandoned canal trench, water slushed but did not settle. Villagers shoveled mud until the gap collapsed, returning the riverbank to its natural curve. Thunder rolled, a bass drum for a celebration with no walls. For Mother of Rain. Gogo Nomzamo sat beneath the big baobab, sheltered by a patchwork cloak. Her face held the serene wonder of someone listening to a story only she could hear. She laughed whenever a raindrop hit her nose. Villagers lined up to thank her. Some pressed gifts of seed beads or dried figs into her hands. She accepted each with a polite nod, though she no longer recalled the giver's name, or even her own. "We shall call her Umoma Wimpula, Mother of Rain," declared an elder midwife. The name fluttered through the crowd like a bright cloth, catching quickly. Tuli knelt beside Nomzamo. "Do you know who I am?" The old woman frowned in concentration, then smiled. "You are the girl with kind eyes." Tears mixed with raindrops on Tuli's cheeks. "Yes. And I will be your storyteller. I keep all your yesterdays safe, and when you need them, I read them back to you." Nomzamo patted Tuli's hand. "Stories are good. They taste like honey. 5. Keeper of the hunt. That evening the hunters gathered to choose a new leader. They formed a circle around the ceremonial fire. Eyes turned to Nandi, still dusty from the cave, hair braided back in a warrior's knot. She lifted Vuyo's repaired spear. My brother believed courage was louder than fear. I believe respect is stronger than courage. I will lead if you accept that every arrow must serve the river first. One by one the hunters crossed the circle to place their arrows at her feet, a silent vote. Ash rose like grey butterflies. The next morning Nandi set traps not near the riverbanks but in the high grasslands, away from spawning pools. She reminded her team to leave the first kill as tribute. A hunter's pride did not waver, it simply bowed. 6. The storyteller and the laughter. Seasons shifted. Shoots became stalks, stalks bent with grain. Rain settled into a patient rhythm, a soft shower at dawn, a playful drizzle at dusk. Tuli spent afternoons on the riverbank with Umoma Wimpula. She shaped bowls again, clay now supple and singing under her fingers. Whenever the elder asked, "Tell me a tale," Tuli spoke of a serpent god, of a brave hunter, of a flute made of tears. Nomzamo listened wide-eyed, every recital brand new. One twilight, Tuli walked alone to the water. The sky was peach and lavender, the river, liquid mirror. She knelt and pressed her palm to the current. Silence at first. Then, a ripple that sounded suspiciously like a chuckle. Another ripple answered, lighter, almost teasing. Tuli smiled. Glad you're amused. The water swirled around her fingers, spelling no words this time, only feeling. It felt like the warm grin of a friend who finally forgave a long ago slight. Tuli looked across Ezawini, children practicing harvest dances, Nandi inspecting new snares, elders hanging seed gourds on doorframes. Life was busy, messy, ordinary again, exactly as precious as any miracle. She whispered to the river, "We will remember to listen." The river answered with laughter that blended into wind, into tree rustle, into the heartbeat of the land, gentle proof that some gods forgive, provided we remember to listen. And in that mingled music of water and air, Ezawini thrived beneath its newborn sky. The end cloud with rain snake.